Thank you all for coming today. During the last 2 weeks, the Democratic primary campaign for the United States Senate has become a very close two-person race between Bruce Lunsford and myself. The polls show that the race is tightening. About 18% of poll respondents say they haven't decided who they'll vote for. And we believe about another 10% who are polling for Lunsford do so out of name recognition only. For those reasons, we're going into a barn burner come next Tuesday, Election Day. Now, for several weeks, Mr. Lunsford has been sending out email blasts and running attack ads on TV suggesting that I was running a negative campaign against him. Most of his campaign to this point has been focused on how mean he says I've been to him. In reality, most of my campaign has been spent out on the road, traveling around Kentucky, talking to voters about the issues they care for: the economy, jobs, the war in Iraq, and health care. I've traveled more than 20,000 miles so far talking to Kentuckians, but I haven't shied away from talking about Mr. Lunsford's history as CEO of Vencor or about his strange defection to the Republican Party in 2003 when he supported Ernie Fletcher, because I think those are valid issues in this race. Then suddenly, yesterday, Mr. Lunsford's campaign entered a new phase when he launched what is clearly the most misleading negative ad thrust on the public since his race began. In it, he attacks me, my family, and the businesses I've run. I'd just like to say this: thanks, Bruce. I appreciate it. Now we can have a good dialogue. I've been looking forward to the day when you'd agree that we should compare the way we've run our companies, the way that we've supported the Democratic Party. Since this race began, I've said that our past public records were important issues for voters to consider. But you and your powerful supporters in Washington and in the political establishment back home said that good Democrats shouldn't talk about primary candidates because it might destroy the Democratic Party. You even signed a pledge not to be negative, and now you have broken that promise when it's convenient for you. Now that the race is tightening up, it looks like you don't believe in your pledge anymore. And I'm sort of wondering if we'll hear anything from the high-profile politicians who last week thought that negative campaigning was bad for the Democratic Party. I urge them to ask you to stop your negative campaigning. I've said all along that my record is an open book. Your ad even quotes me as saying that, which is about the only accurate thing in your ad. In the ad, you say that I and my family have given thousands of dollars to Republicans, including Mitch McConnell and George Bush. Who are you talking about, Bruce? My mother, my father, my brothers, my sister, my cousins, my uncles, my aunts, my nieces and nephews? I don't know who you're talking about, and neither does anyone else. But here are the facts. I'm the one running for public office. My wife Alex and I have given a total of $850 to Republicans our entire lifetime, with the most recent contribution over 10 years ago. And we haven't given one red cent to George Bush or Mitch McConnell. Meanwhile, you've given more than $60,000 to Republicans, including at least $1,000 each to Mitch McConnell and George Bush. And when you were asked about it at the KET debate on Monday night, you didn't tell the truth. In fact, you apologized for that yesterday, and you claimed that you didn't hear the question correctly. I'd invite anyone to watch the tape of that debate for themselves and see if you look confused when you answered. Also, in your ad, you cite numerous safety violations at the companies I've owned and worked at, but you failed to say that in each company the safety records improved dramatically after I became involved. At Dan Clayton, we reduced lost workdays due to injury 85% in 6 years. And in our 19 years at Servend, we improved the safety record to be better than the industry average. Furthermore, Servend was a winner of the USA Today Quality Cup for our Workplace Excellence team and a site visit finalist for the Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award. Outstanding achievements by any measure. I'm proud of our record of safety achievement and culture of safety at Dan Clayton and at Servend. And I'd like to thank my teammates behind me here at Dan Clayton for all the great work they've done in establishing a wonderful culture of safety here at Dan Clayton. I invite anyone who wants to know the whole story to examine the records and talk to the employees who were involved with the improvements. I think you'll come away with a far different impression than the one you got in Bruce Lunsford's ad. I'm happy to compare my record of leadership at Dan Clayton with Bruce's record at Vencor. While Lunsford describes as the greatest business success story in Kentucky the story of Vencor, the reality is Vencor ended in bankruptcy, costing many people their jobs and much of their life savings. Vencor paid $104 million to settle a 1999 Justice Department charge of fraudulent billing. And the company settled a lawsuit with stockholders who claimed that Bruce kept important information from them before Vencor's bankruptcy, all the while selling his own stock. These are facts that won't go away, and they are issues in this campaign. The event in Bruce's past that has more bearing than any on this race is his strange run for governor in 2003. Bruce competed in a tough primary that year against Jody Richards and Ben Chandler. He ran the most vicious attack ads against Ben Chandler than anyone had ever seen. Then suddenly, without warning, he quit the race 4 days before the election. In the general election, instead of endorsing the Democrat Ben Chandler, Bruce appears at a press conference with Senator Mitch McConnell and endorses Republican Ernie Fletcher. After Fletcher's victory, Bruce chaired Fletcher's transition team and helped him reshape the executive branch here in Kentucky in a Republican mold that's been a tremendous failure. No wonder Bruce hoped that nobody would shine a light on his public record during that campaign. If I were he, I wouldn't want to examine Bruce Lunsford's record either. No wonder he enlisted everyone he could to criticize me when I shined a light on his past. But now, we've got a race with an uncertain outcome. So what does Bruce do? He goes right back to the kind of negative campaigning that he used against Ben Chandler in 2003. It didn't work then, and it won't work now. I would invite each of you to examine the true public record behind the charges and all the ads that are running in this race, mine as well as Bruce's. I think that you'll find that mine are true and his distortions are half the story. Today, like most other days, I'm going to hit the road and travel to meet more Kentuckians. I'll be doing that right up to Election Day. I'm going to continue to focus on the issues that are most important to Kentuckians: jobs, health care, getting us safely out of Iraq, the energy crisis, and education. On May 20th, Democratic voters will choose a nominee to run against Mitch McConnell. I'm confident when the votes are counted, that nominee will be Greg Fischer. Thank you for coming today, and I'll welcome any questions.